All right. We are here for Transformation Tuesday, the podcast that I created some time ago because, well, I'm a bit of a seeker. And I created this podcast because I wanted to uncover the mystery and the mysticism behind Tantra as well as spiritual transformation. And the two have pretty much become synonymous to me. And so each week, I find someone from our community to bring on board and interview and talk to you about spirituality and tantra and personal transformation. And so recently, I met this amazing woman that I'm about to introduce you to. Her name is Kristina, and Kristina is quite a unique individual who has a pretty amazing transformation story. So we're going to jump right in. And Kristina, could you do us a favor? Could you just introduce yourself? I've got listeners and followers that have never met you. They have no idea who you are. So please introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kristina. I am originally from Latvia, from Eastern Europe, a small country that has about 2 million people. And I ventured out into United States in 2003. The story began with that I didn't speak English, and to get in the university in Latvia, I had to pass an English test. So I was really struggling with it, and I couldn't get into university. And then I made a decision that I need to go to the country where people speak English, and I'm gonna learn it that way. Long story short, the universe was really helping me align a lot of things, and people were coming into my life and helping me with this journey. And I was able to get into the au pair program as a nanny, live-in nanny, and come live in the United States. That was very interesting, and until this day I'm very curious and surprised that the family hired me. They had 4 kids, and I didn't speak English, so when they were interviewing me, I barely understood what they said, and I kind of like having those responses. I had literally, my vocabulary was like, I don't know, 20 words in English. So they hired me, and I originally was supposed to go to live in Chicago suburbs, but by the time the paperwork went through, they moved to Detroit suburbs. So think of the culture shock coming from Europe, where you walk everywhere, smaller streets, smaller town in a sense, being placed in a Detroit suburbs where there's no sidewalks, the cars are ginormous, food was disgusting, and it was a huge culture shock for me. I didn't know anyone, I didn't speak English, so that was already transformational journey for me in general, to get out of the comfort zone. I was very, very uncomfortable for about a month till there's like au pair clusters, and basically this one girl reached out to me. She was from Lithuania, and she saw my last name. I'm from Latvia, so it's like countries next to each other. So she invited me to go to the gatherings, and then she introduced me to another girl who introduced me to a large group of Latvians in Detroit suburbs. And basically then I found my tribe. And then 3 years later, I had to stay there for a year, but then I decided to stay longer and become international student. I was like, I want to go to school, I want to learn things. So I just changed my status to international student, and I studied 2 years. I studied English, I took all ESL classes and everything. Then I jumped into, I couldn't figure out the major, and I have 2 bachelor degrees now in psychology and business, and I never used them because the mainstream educational system did not resonate with me at all. And kind of like, according to being in the box that you need to go to school, and then you need to have a career and then get married and buy a house, have children, 9 to 5, all this stuff, mortgage, blah blah. It never resonated with me. I've been always like a free bird in a sense, a free spirit. So even when I went to school and got 2 bachelor degrees, at the end of when I graduated, at the end I was like, having 2 diplomas, having all the proper outfit and the hat, everything, according to the script, how you're supposed to live, it still didn't resonate. And my diplomas are somewhere in the storage covered in dust. Anyway, so from Detroit, I moved to Chicago. I want to be in the big city, and I lived there for 11 years. That was another kind of like transformational journey, going through different kind of experiences. I've been always working in the restaurant industry as a server, and living in Chicago, great party scene, bars, nightclubs, and everything. So, and I love to drink. I love to drink a lot of wine and stuff like that. So Chicago was like kind of like this party time, but slowly I was introduced to like Deepak Chopra's work. What's his name? Oh my gosh, the one with the brain heart connection. I forgot. Oh my gosh, I forgot. I'll come back.
It's okay, it's okay.
Um,
Kristina, you have had just one hell of an adventure moving to the United States. And I totally feel you on the culture shock. I had a similar experience as a young man when I was just out of high school. I knew that that the world that I was in was not the world I wanted to be in.
mhm,
And I wanted to get out. I wanted to go adventure. I wanted to see the world. And I was told, the way to do that was to join the military. And that's just did
oh,
not sound exciting to me. There's no way that I was going to join the military. And so I was a musician, and a
mm,
friend of mine said, "Hey, we're going to Europe. We need a drummer. Do you want to go with us?" And I didn't even ask what's the name of the band or what kind of music we were playing. I just said yes. And next thing I know, I was over there, and the culture shock of seeing Europe. The first place I went was Germany, to Berlin, and
mm,
it was wow. It was a big, busy city, and there's people everywhere, and I didn't speak the language either, so it was quite a thing there. And of course, the food was completely different than anything that I'd ever really experienced. But I was open-minded, and I tried different things. And as a young person, of course, I found the nightclub scene and was all about music and partying and going to clubs. And in Europe, clubs would go all night. So the
mhm.
came up, and then after the after party, we'd go find an after party. And it was a hard, fast lifestyle for me. So I imagined that, like me, there's a point where you just went, wait a minute, is this life? Is this really life? I mean, there's got to be something else. So I'm curious, can you share with us the initial spark or moment that drew you towards your path of spiritual awakening?
Absolutely. So there were two occasions when I was living in Chicago. I had the great setup. I had the top floor apartment with view to the lake, no buildings in front of me. Good job, good money coming in. Everything is kind of like set up. But still I was missing something. And like when you live in Chicago, it's like most of the time the weather is crap. And you were kind of like, I realized that I was hibernating for 9 months out of the year to live for the summertime, because when it's so cold, you're just, you're bundled up, you have to dig your car out of the snow. It's just kind of like, no, just wine and Netflix will do it, and occasionally going out to nightclubs. But again, it's like, if you're wearing a dress and high heels and it's like -10 outside, you're like, maybe Netflix. So first initiation, I'd say, was when I went to Greece with my family. We went to Crete, a small island, and we were staying in a resort, and it was just like walking along the sea and a beautiful warm weather. The food is good. And I was like, oh my God, I really love this freedom of like warm weather, flip-flops on shorts, swimming suit, it's just kind of like this. It feels so good. You don't have to wear high heels, no dresses, no makeup, it's just like this connecting to nature. And it's like, oh my God, I want to live somewhere like that. That was kind of like the first seed was planted. And then a year later, I went to Bali, and I was coming from Chicago. I was kind of like packed my suitcase. I had like I took the high heels and the nice dresses and the curling iron and all this, city girl stuff. And we go to Bali, and it was extremely hot and humid. So we stayed in Bali for 4 days, and then we went to Gili Islands, which is a small island. It's a 2-hour boat ride. And over there, it's like a very minimalistic lifestyle, let's say. It's so hot and humid, you can't, like, your makeup will melt off. And we stayed in this homestay where it was $10 a day. A very simple room, just a bed, AC, you get one towel, no hot water, cold water, right? And then the hosts would make you these delicious banana pancakes and coffee with the condensed milk. And then you just eat and do your snorkeling and whatnot. And it was like that freedom that I don't have to spend time to get ready and all this like artificial stuff. You just put swimming suit, you put flip-flops and something to cover yourself, and you go enjoy the nature. And it was amazing. So, and then from Bali,
like something about being in that environment caused a shift in the way that you thought about yourself.
it's the environment of when it's not a rich place. So everything is very simple, and I love that simplicity. I love that. And when I came back to Chicago from the trip, it was extremely cold, and I got in my apartment, and it was early. It was like 6:30 in the morning. I see the sun rising at the lake, and I start crying. I'm like, it's just like, I just feel weird. I don't like this. It's like, it's too heavy. It's too much stuff. And then when I was putting my stuff away from the trip, I had all these boxes start falling on my head from the shelves. And I was like, why I have so much stuff? It's like, why do I need, like, I don't know, 5 rolls of Christmas lights? It's just like living in the consumerism, like, because the United States, basically, what I realized, it's been built by consumerism. You need to buy, take, consume, more. And then go into Bali, where it's just like complete freedom. One little suitcase will do the job. And then I had this contrast. And then when those boxes start falling on my head, I'm like, you know what? This is it. I'm moving away from Chicago. And
Wow.
yes. And then basically my friend was bragging on Facebook how amazing San Diego is. And I was like, well, let me go and check it out. And of course, I came to San Diego, and it was absolutely beautiful. I love the ocean. I love the freedom. I love the weather. The food was great. And I gave myself like a year to pack my stuff, sell everything. So I got rid of everything, just packed my car, whatever fit in my car, and just drove across the country and planted myself here. Yeah.
That is quite the catalyst. So yeah, and is there speaking of catalyst, is there a specific thing that you can tell us about that you remember that just was, you would say, this is the beginning, this was the mark that started my journey? Is there something that you can pinpoint?
All my life, I don't think there was a mark, but all my life there was something nudging inside of me that this is not it. This life that we're living, there's something behind it. And then long time ago, when I was like 20 years old, I had a coworker who had the mala, and he was a security guy at the club, and he would just stand there and do mantra holding mala. And I was like, oh my God, I want to learn that. I want to learn meditation, but I had no idea. I had no any information how to do it. So it's kind of like this calling, it's been always there, like looking at the stars. I was like, maybe I've been like maybe I'm just adopted, and like, aliens, please take me. It's kind of like never fitting in, really. I was bullied in school, and it's kind of like, it's just something is off, and it's all my life, basically. And then moving to San Diego and being exposed to different kind of like spiritual practices, meditation, yoga, breath work. I journaled a lot. That's really helpful, actually. Journaling, it's going within to finding your inner wisdom. Like, one thing is you receive some information and knowledge from others, but when you go within, you find the real truth. Because when you receive the information from others, there's still a room for doubt. But when you go within, and that just like things are unfolding, that the knowledge and wisdom is coming through you, it's like, that's the right one.
That makes so much sense to me. I too spend a lot of time journaling, and in my own transformation story, journaling was a huge catalyst for me because I was spending a lot of time alone, what I now refer to as solitude, where it was just me, my pen, and my flashlight sitting in the dark journaling, and I was in pain, and journaling was a way to absolve that pain. I had no access to a television or anything like that, and I just was like, hey, I need to get some of these thoughts on paper, these things that are happening. And I was really just, I'm still blown away. I still have all of my journals from that
Same.
and I sometimes look at them and I'm like, did I write this? And much of the life that I am now living is a result of the things that I journaled about when I was in my darkest hour, trying to manifest and create something different for myself. And journaling is a huge, huge tool that I use with my clients, both my private clients and with my men's group. I use journaling in some of my workshops where I bring people together and I'm asking them to be intentional in what they're looking for and what they're creating and what they're wanting to release. So journaling is this, like, I think really underestimated tool that can be incredibly powerful. So I'm so glad to hear that another practitioner is on the path that's using journaling as well. So um uh, so um you shared with me when we first met. By the way, I just want to let our audience know that when I first met you, I just knew right away that there was something different about you. There, you were present in a way that other people are not fully present, and you were in your body is the way that I would describe it. Like there's just an energy that comes from you that's like just has you stand out from others. There's electricity, if I could call it anything else. It's about as close as I could name it. So I knew, I was like, yeah, we need to talk. And the more we talked, the more I realized, yeah, you're tapped into something. So you also shared with me that drinking and partying were a big part of your life, which is interesting because it was also a big part of mine. And I was on a kind of a self-destructive path for a while, and now I don't participate in any party situations like that really myself. And so I'm just curious, were there any other significant challenges or obstacles that you faced while deciding to take this path?
I'm gonna tap into the drinking part and partying part. So what I realized later when I quit drinking, so I was drinking for like 27 years. I started when I was 13, smoking as well, because yes, in Europe you start early. And the very basic reason when I started drinking, because I was extremely shy. I could not start a conversation. I was mumbling and stumbling. And then I love dancing, and to go dance in a nightclub, I could not go start dancing without a couple of drinks in me. So that was kind of like this initial reason why I started doing it. And then, it pulls you in, and then I love to have fun. When I was drinking, I was very like the life of the party in a sense. And then I was drinking a lot because I like to, like, if I was partying, I wanted to have 100% fun, not just a little bit, not just a couple glasses of wine and then go home. I was like, no, girl. I was like having dinner, after dinner drinks, nightclub, party after party, till it's like, I don't know, 5, 6 in the morning. So what I realized later when I quit drinking, that when I was drinking, my true self, my true essence was actually coming up. That very joyful, outgoing person. I love people. I was loving everyone. I was always trying to gather people together and have fun and dance and, have like more than just sitting and drinking. It's like engaging in meaningful conversations, what I thought when I was drunk. But anyways, it's kind of like this I love to gather people. I've been always organizing parties and dinners and everything. So what I realized when I was drinking, that was my true essence was coming out. And then when I would wake up next day hungover, I would have these like mental hangovers because I'm like, oh my gosh, it was too much. It's like too much going out, too much party, too much like being the shining star. And I was always feeling so guilty of doing it. And then when I quit drinking, then I realized that alcohol helped me because I was very shy before. Alcohol helped me to get out of my shell and just actually, this is who I am. Because now when I don't drink, I can be that fun, outgoing, loving person. That was one. And then later, so when I moved to San Diego, the drinking, I realized that drinking got very old for me because first of all, I was very lonely. I didn't have any friends. So I would just go to bars and restaurants and hoping to meet some friends, And then I was kind of like going out, getting drunk, staying out till 3 in the morning. And it's just like waking up feeling like crap. And then my hangovers start being like 2 day long. And my bodies are like kind of like, oh, it's too much. And then I started journaling a lot, going to yoga, doing different kind of like spiritual practices. And then I would feel great. And I was like, yay, I'm feeling awesome. And then I go out, get really fucked up, and then go backwards into square one. So I was in this very shuffling place where 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. And I was like, I realized at some point that I need to quit drinking. And I tried multiple times and it didn't work. But now I realize they're going to have to make a choice. Either I'm going to grow or I'm going to drink. I can't do both. And that realization came to me in the journaling session. And
Wow.
I sat there. I think that was the day once I sat to journal. I think it was like my day off, whatever, 10 in the morning, make my coffee, sit down on couch and journal. I didn't get up till like 4 p.m. I journaled, I don't know how many pages, 30, 40 something. The information was just coming through. It was flowing. My hand was cramped. It was just flow, like nonstop, like so much information came out. And then basically I had to make a decision to have this like quantum leap, so to speak. I need to quit drinking. And then I journaled and analyzed myself to understand the reason why I started drinking. It was being shy and I couldn't start a conversation and I couldn't dance without alcohol. And then I was like, you know what? I already done so many times being sober, starting conversation with someone or started dancing. So the initial reason why I started drinking, it's like, it's not true anymore. I don't need that. It's like this limiting belief. So that helped me to get out of the drinking mode. And then kind of like the journey started to get out of that lifestyle. And what really helped me that I was part of this large group on Facebook, and basically I wrote there that I quit drinking. Long story, I just wrote how and why and what. And then because I put it out, this information in public, I could not go back anymore. That disclosure basically helped me to stay accountable with myself.
That's
And
amazing because I've done some of the same kind of things because I know myself well enough to know that I want to be seen as somebody who keeps his word. So I've posted things on social. And if I'm to be really transparent, I don't really personally know, like probably 80% of the people that follow me on social. I don't just, there's that social connection that we create through the internet, but I don't know them. So I don't know why that works. And I've told people, I've shared with people like, hey, if you really want to hold yourself accountable, post it on your social. Interesting. It's a psychological thing because we know that like it's like, even though you know that you don't know those people, you know that if you don't keep your word, the few people who do read it will look at you differently if you don't honor your fucking word.
Mm-hmm.
An accountability tool. And I tell people, like, if you don't post it on Facebook, is it even real?
The other thing is, like, if you post it and let's say I had a lot of wonderful comments and people like, yay, congratulations, you were inspiring me, and like if you inspired someone to make the move and they're going on the path of sobriety and all of a sudden you relapse, I feel like I would betray them. So that was another little thing that would help me to keep myself accountable.
I love it. I love it. I've shared some pretty vulnerable stuff on Facebook a few times, and it's resulted in it's like therapy.
Mhm.
It's like in ways that I can't even explain. So I'm so thrilled to hear that you are doing something so similar. You know, I'm curious if you can explain any changes or shifts that you experienced as a result of your spiritual journey. Is there anything that you could tell us about?
Changes and shifts. So basically the first change was quitting drinking. That's kind of like um blinders were off, like this, like fogginess was gone, the mind clarity, the body, everything started being more in a harmony and alignment, and just I started connecting more to nature. I got plants. I have so many plants now. Spending more time outside, connecting to crystals, connecting more to animals. So it's just kind of like that's an indication that your vibration actually rose, because when you are under influence alcohol, your vibration is very, very low, and your energetical field has kind of like holes, and you can attract some, I don't know, entities that are feeding on your energy. So when you are free of everything, you become more sovereign, more autonomous being, and you fix your energy field. So whatever's there, it's actually you, not like, you know, implants or plugins or stuff like that. That's another esoteric metaphysical stuff. But that really gave me this new energy to, I've been always very curious, so it gave me this energy to go and explore the world. And then I quit drinking on January 9th, 2020, and then COVID happened 2 months later. So that was a perfect time, because actually the solitude that you were talking about, I was by myself during COVID. I didn't see any of my friends or anything for 2 months, just the lockdown, but it was a great time because I was watching a lot of Gaia TV, which is, I'd say it's the conscious spiritual university, because you can,
amazing.
yeah, you can find a lot of great speakers and programs there. So I watched Dr. Joe Dispenza, Bruce Lipton. The biggest influence on me was Matthias De Stefano and his work, and a couple others. So that was really good because I had time, I had unemployment coming in, I was sober, I was very curious about the world. So I like got into Gaia. I watched so many hours of stuff, and then I was applying to my life. I got into breath work. I signed up for like weekly breathwork sessions. I did like a couple of shamanic journeys, Wim Hof, the ice cold showers. It was just, I love that freedom where I didn't have to go to work, and I finally was able to explore the world, what's going on. I started painting. That was flowing through so much, and it was just, yes, it was great time, great shift. And then in about 2 months when I quit drinking, I still have a lot of booze in my home. Something shifted in my consciousness. I'd call it, that was some kind of like quantum leap for sure, where after 2 months, I felt like I never drank before in my life. Like it felt like that Kristina who was a party girl who got shit-faced and had 10 drinks a night, it was gone. And it was just very different reality, very different energy. And when I go like open the cabinets and I still had liquor there and wine, I was like, I don't care. It doesn't resonate with me at all. It's just whatever. So I scooped everything up and gave it to my neighbors. And
Nice.
that shift, no A meetings, no this like kind of like victim mentality is just something like really shifted. And seriously, I had not drank since then, except one little experiment 6 months later after I quit drinking. It was my birthday, and I went out with my boyfriend at that time, and I ordered a glass of wine. I just kind of like wanted to see where I'm at. And I took one little sip, and I was very present and trying to understand what does alcohol do to my body. And it kicks in relaxation. I took another little sip, another change. I took a third one. And then that party girl came out, and I was like, oh my gosh, if I'm gonna take one more sip, it's gonna be another glass of wine and another glass of wine, and we're gonna be partying until 6 in the morning. And I pushed the glass away. I told my boyfriend, please drink it. I'm done. And that's it. So
Yeah, there are a lot of people, I think, that wish that they had that sort of willpower. You know what I've discovered, through interviewing others on the spiritual journey is like, it seems like the more of this work you do, the more self-discovery that you're willing to do, the more shadow work that you're willing to step into, the less you want to numb yourself or drink or party. And it's interesting because there was a huge part of my life where I used alcohol and drugs because I thought that was going to give me access to being able to do the work. And all it was mask the problems. And I'm a huge advocate for plant medicines. I think they're wonderful, and used in the right setting with the right intention, they can be incredibly healing. But where a bunch of people are gathering together and there's pounding music and everyone's drinking and everyone's drugging is not really the right environment. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I have lots of friends in those communities. I love them to death and I love hanging out with them. But for me and others I found on this journey, it would seem that like that particular way of living is just no longer a part of who we are. You agree with that?
absolutely, because what I realized that look at the alcohol industry in general, it's huge. Alcohol is involved in every single thing. Like before I quit completely drinking, I quit drinking 2 years prior to that. I quit drinking for 2 months. And I was like, okay, well, how my social life is gonna look like? What should I do? Because the only thing I was just going for dinners and nightclubs and bars. And I was like looking up for like, oh, maybe yoga, or I don't know, different kind of like events. When I realized that all those even spiritual events were advertised with, let's say, oh, rooftop yoga, mimosa bar afterwards, or hot balloon ride, ding ding ding, there's the champagne and wine, or everything. Alcohol is literally everywhere. So fun, human fun, and alcohol, it's like this basically. You cannot have fun if you're not drinking, and I really believed in that programming. I call it programming.
It's sold to us through TV, advertising, movies,
Everywhere. And what it does, it really blocks your true connection to the divine, to spirit, to the prime source, universe, whatever you want to call it, God, your higher self. It's like literally they put a little hat on you when you're drinking, and you're vibrating in the three lower chakras, which is food, sex, survival, producing, when you produce the kids. So it's lower. There's nothing really spiritual. I mean, it's kind of good actually to go through that experience, because you learn how to be embodied, how to live in a matter. Because let's say if you come, we all came from the spirit, we descended to the earth, and we decided, let me see how it is to live in a matter, because it's much denser. We're vibrating lower, let's say comparing to the beings in like the fifth dimensional world, where there's all oneness, love, and light. So it's just a contrast. So if you come from all this love and light, when you come to the earth, it's like you need to learn how to live in this dense environment. So partying and drinking actually kind of teaches you how it is, but it also at the same time it blocks you, cuts you off completely where you came from.
I definitely hear that. I resonate with that big time. It's Kristina too, you mentioned the pandemic and like getting focused and the things you're doing during the pandemic. I too, and a few others that I know that I admire, and mentors and spiritual guides and wisdom keepers had a very similar experience during the pandemic. I will share this with you and my audience that prior to the pandemic, I was not really in a good place. I had hit rock bottom. I come to this place that I can only describe as being spiritually bankrupt. And I was really just scrambling to get my life together. And I was starting to get there. I had started a new business. Some friends of mine invited me to come stay with them. And I was just starting to get on my feet. And then the pandemic happened. And I remember them telling us, hey, it's 2 weeks of stay home. And I thought, no big deal. I've not been doing anything with myself for months anyway. 2 more weeks, all right, whatever. I literally sat around watching YouTube and Netflix for 2 weeks, thinking it was just 2 weeks. I thought it was funny. At the end of that 2 weeks, they announced there was another 2 weeks of lockdown, and I just made light of it. I thought I was just posting stupid shit posts on Facebook because I just was like, whatever, guys. So long story short is the pandemic was the best thing in the world that could have happened to me, because all of a sudden I had space to figure out what I actually wanted. While I had been in this rough place, now everyone else was in this rough place with me. And I was just like kind of laughing about it. I was like, okay, great. Now what do I do? I got really focused. I found discipline in my life that I had not previously had. I had taken a job as a caregiver during the pandemic. And I'd been a caregiver in my youth. So it was like, okay, I could do this again. And it was like a really, really simple job that gave me just enough income to get by, and also enough free time to focus on other things that really mattered to me. During the pandemic, I completed a 100-hour meditation certification for meditation. I completed a 200-hour Kundalini yoga certification, which was hard. I completed another 200-hour breathwork certification, a life coach certification. I was just like, all right, I'm going to the University of Life through my Zoom. And I was just living it. There was nowhere to go. There was no interference, no interruptions. There were no parties to go to, no clubs to go to. I was just like, all right, what am I going to do with myself? I want to make myself better. And I was happy to be alone. And while I did have a few glimpses into the lives of a few people, I spent a lot of time just in meditation and deep contemplation, just figuring out what am I going to do with the rest of my life. And so right at the end of the pandemic, right in the like 2021, some friends of mine put out a post. They were having a retreat in Mexico. And I was like, this is it. This is what I got to do. Then I took off. I jumped on a plane. I went to Mexico. Then that was the final nail in the coffin, as I would describe it. That retreat took everything that I'd been working on and kind of culminated it and redirected me and said, you know what, JJ, you're doing all this stuff, but what are you going to do with it? And that's when I realized I need to follow the path of being a spiritual teacher. And I'm still like shocked. I get up every morning. I have a little routine. And about halfway through my routine involves stopping at the mirror and just giving myself a few affirmations. And I'm like, wow, I cannot believe the person that I've become. If you would have told me 5 years ago or 10 years ago that one day I would be a spiritual leader, I would be a spiritual teacher. Do you have any idea who I am? Like, you're stupid. You're crazy. I was a party animal, club kid. I used to wear big, thick, heavy eyeliner and dye my hair. I've had my hair in every color you could possibly think of. It's been an interesting journey. So it seems like we've had very similar journeys, and I'm so excited to meet you and to work with you. So I have a question for you. What sort of advice what kind of advice might you have for somebody who's perhaps seeking a spiritual path for themselves? Do you have any wisdom you might be able to share with us?
Yes, I think the first and foremost is do not judge yourself
That's a good one.
in anything you do, because I've been going through, and just recently, it just like I had another transformation like 2 weeks ago, where again, it's a programming. Like if you look at the TV and advertisement and everything, they're telling you what to wear, what to eat, how to behave, how to look, what to do with your life, and all the authenticity is swept away. Your uniqueness is completely like covered in commercials and consumerism. And I feel bad for women who are maybe not really lost their self-confidence by all this conditioning, and they do all those plastic surgeries and think that, oh, if I have bigger boobs or bigger lips or longer nails or something, it's people gonna love me. But it's they
Yeah.
do more and more and more, and then the inner world is not changing. That's the thing. You maybe look good, but you like still feeling, if you feel uncomfortable in whatever, some kind of like settings, just because you have this mask on you, maybe it's going to give you like a little short term kind of like that feeling, but still that insecurities are still there. And the thing is, when you go away from that party and when you take off all the makeup and all the fake shit and you go sleep, you're still in that body. It doesn't go away. It's kind of like, that's why it's so important to go within, to figure out, to find out who you really are, to tap into your uniqueness and your authenticity. But whatever you've done prior to that, do not judge that, because it's made you who you are at this very present moment. And all those experiences that you went through, all the breakdowns, breakthroughs, hardships, and any kind of like experiences that you went through, it helped you to shape you of who you are right now. So don't judge yourself and don't judge others, because the thing is that we don't know what they've been going through, and whatever the mask they're wearing right now, what you see, you don't know what's behind it. And I'm not a saint. I've been judging people and I try not to, but still, I have my brain is wired and sometimes in negative thinking. So I would just go there like, oh, this chick is fat. Oh my God. And then but at least I have an awareness that I have this thought. And I'm like, wait. I don't know anything about her. Maybe she's a great singer. Maybe she's eating a lot because she was raped when she was a child. I'm going into like a harsh stuff right away, because that's the truth. We don't know.
Yeah.
And cultivate like self-love. That one is extremely important. And then 2 weeks ago, so I've been struggling all my life with like self-worth. I was thinking, oh, I'm worthy if I have I'm worthy only if I have a set up business. I'm only worthy if I have bachelor degrees before. I'm only worthy if I'm skinny enough. I'm only worthy if I have a certain amount of bank money in a bank. I'm only worthy if my credit score is above whatever it has to be, 700, right? I'm only worthy if I have, I don't know, cute purse or a new car or all this like conditioning. And then 2 weeks ago, I've been into this very like in financial spiral down. 2 weeks ago, my car got towed. I was leasing my car and I missed 3 payments because I didn't have money. But that was the biggest blessing, seriously, because when my car got towed, I didn't have to go to work that day, and I got ready to meet someone, and I go out there and it's not there, and I'm like, fuck. And I'm like, okay, what am I gonna do now? I went back inside, I put flip-flops on, and I live like 1.5 miles away from the ocean. I'm like, let me walk to the ocean. And I'm walking there and I'm like, oh my God, you're a piece of shit. This self-judgment comes in. I'm talking about myself. how it's like, what people gonna think about you? You're just like, nah, 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 this inner dialogue. And I'm like, no, 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 no. I'm like, I am worthy without money. I am worthy without car. I am worthy without job. I am worthy without any possessions or things or anything that we've been conditioned to, the price tag that's been put on humans in this society. And I walk into the ocean and I'm like, you know what? I am worthy without all of those things. And finally, first time in my life, I believed in it. So I realized that I had to be stripped away of completely everything and not have anything according to society. I was like, I'm worthless piece of shit. My credit score is like, I don't know, 500 something, right? And just feeling that, no, I am worthy because I have so much to bring to the world through my uniqueness and authenticity and how the way I see the world and how I synthesize the information and shine the light. But for the corporate mindset world, those things are not valued yet until the people wake up. The 9-to-5ers who are completely immersed in all that world, the only value is your credit score, how much money you have, and how many things you possess. That's the price tag. So think about it, how we're,
That's the kind of the culture that we've created around us.
yes,
And we were kind of indoctrinated into it. What you're saying about, low self-esteem and self-judgment, it's interesting because we definitely have like a societal programming. I can only really speak for myself and as a man, but I tell you that as a man, we are often told our value is in how much money we make. If we don't make enough money and we can't provide, we're not worth anything. If you're not at least 6 foot tall, if you can't be, we're asked to be emotionally available, but also at the same time, we're expected to be stoic and non-responsive. And it's just, there's all these societal programmings around men and how we are meant to or supposed to interact with the world. And it's daunting. I've had conversations with men who, for example, maybe have a disability or have had an accident and they're not able to work. And then their self-esteem is so wrapped around and connected to the job that they used to have. And they have no idea how to surrender to just what is and like rediscover who they are and have an identity outside of the work they do. And then I'll have similar conversations, and I've begun to realize that women have same yet opposite and similar kind of things placed on them. There's pressure to look a certain way, to be skinny, to dress a certain way, to have your makeup done, to be fun, to be nice, to be polite. And I'm like, wow, we really created this society that makes it really difficult for us to really be like just comfortable in our own skin.
To be unique and authentic, it's very, very hard to be that way. And think about when you meet someone, first you ask the person's name, and then majority of people, they're like, they don't even remember their name because they're like, oh, I'm so bad with names, I don't know. And then the second question is what you ask, what do you do for a living? Right?
Yeah.
Where if you look at the statistics, 75% of people don't like what they're doing for a living, for their job. So we are judging people by what do you do for a living?
Yeah.
And if you're doing the job that you don't like, that's not who you really are. But again, it's the conditioning. Oh, you're a lawyer. Oh, I have respect for you. Oh, you're accountant. Oh, I have respect for you. Oh, you're janitor. You're a piece of shit,
Because janitors and the garbage man and the janitor make more money than most other workers out there. It's interesting that we have that kind of judgment around those jobs. And I remember, when I was a kid in school being told, if you don't do well in school, you're going to end up being the janitor.
And think about, if you remove all the garbage men and janitors, all the essential workers, so to speak, wait for 3 weeks. Like if no one is taking the garbage, if no one is sweeping the streets and everything, we'll see how you're going to live.
Right.
Exactly. All those things.
I really appreciate this interview with you, Kristina. I think I got a big question for you. Where do you see yourself in the future as you continue on this spiritual path?
So I learned more to live like in the present moment. And when I was younger, people, when you go to job interviews, and people would always ask, oh, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And I always felt shame that some people have these giant plans in their lives, and I have no idea where I see myself in 5 years. I don't know where I'm going to be in a week. So I'm maybe not wired the way to create a concrete plans, because very often when I make plans, they kind of like fall apart, and I'm guided into a different route. So, but in general, my vision, and that one is when I talk about it, I feel it, and I'm very passionate about it. And that's actually not a good word to use, because that's a long story. The way we express ourselves and the way we use the words, it's another conditioning, because every sound is a vibration, and you are programming the energy field around you. So when you use those certain words, you actually programming yourself to not to fail. But for example, when you say I'm very passionate about it, the word passion is derived from wishing the death upon to someone. So when you say I'm very passionate, I'm wishing myself to not to die, but kind of like not succeed. Anyways, so I don't know the other word for passion. So I'm very excited about creating a giant, so that's my vision, create a giant retreat center where people can come in, and we have like different kind of modalities for healing. It could be you learn how to journal. It could be a sound room with different kind of musical instruments where you receive the sound healing. There could be a sound room where you actually go and learn instruments and co-create with others. Art room, a dance room, or there could be a dance and art room all together where you're dancing and painting. Connection to the animals, farming, where you learn how to grow your own food, sustainability, connecting to the nature, different kind of meditations, working with water, alchemy, metaphysics, just like this giant place, and like a retreat center where kids are actually guided to connect more to nature and animals and understand their uniqueness. And if they've been conditioned with losing their authenticity, they're guided back to discover who they really are. The same for adults. Let's say programs where families come in for a week retreat, and let's say they spend 5 days separately. Kids are working on their own, parents are there working on their own, and they are reconnected like for last 2 days, and they learn from each other. And usually what it is actually, because kids right now, they come in, their DNA, for example, is already upgraded. So the kids, when they come in, especially very young babies now, they come in into this world, they're coming to teach us. We don't go and teach them, they come and teach us. Like when the parent has a like quote unquote difficult child, that child is teaching you maybe a compassion, maybe self-love, maybe acceptance, maybe, different kind of things. And I don't know, my suggestion is, like, if you want to learn, let's say if you completely lost your authenticity and uniqueness, you don't know who you are. You've been so conditioned, and nothing wrong with it. It's not your fault. It's like the society's, this is what it is. If you want to learn more about yourself, watch kids, very young kids, till up to like 4 or 5 years old, how they're behaving, what they're doing, how they're expressing themselves, and watch animals. We can
Yeah.
learn a lot from them. The kids, for example, a child, when the child is crying, a child is not holding back his or her emotions. He's crying 100%. If he's laughing 100%. His self-esteem is 200%. If he has messy hair, a dirty hair, only one tooth, and they're running around and laughing and enjoying themselves in the body, this is how we should be. We should not be ashamed of who we really are, but we're so conditioned, and we really lost ourselves in translation, so to speak. So one way to find yourself back of who you are, yes, watch the kids, connect to the animals and the nature too, like grounding, Yes, different modalities. So, yeah.
That's a beautiful vision, Kristina. That's a beautiful vision. So for our persons who may be listening in, we're getting close to wrapping up here now. So I want to kind of plug you a little bit if you don't mind. So Kristina offers quantum healing meditation. She does art classes with meditation, and she also does sexual energy activation. Is there anything more you'd like to say about those things?
So those modalities and those workshops, they came to me very spontaneously. I don't have anything set up as a weekly practice, which I was doing it before, but now I'm kind of a little guided away. So if I lead those or guide those workshops, they would be kind of like for private parties or by request. Because right now I went back into the self-exploration and upgrading my own self. But if anyone is interested, I can definitely plug in and guide quantum healing meditation, which is I tap into my higher self, and the information comes through something that like if you would ask me as Kristina, I would be like, haven't like I can't do that. It's it's like it's I don't know how to explain. It's kind of like this higher wisdom what comes in the moment. And when you connect to the higher realms, the way it works, it's like, let's say, okay, I'm just gonna do a little
Mhm.
setup. We meet up in a group. I'm by human design and projector. So if you're familiar with human design, my aura is I have an extension. Projectors, we have an extension, and we with our auras are kind of digging into other people's auras, and we are able to read between the lines and kind of like feel the subtle energies that people and blind spots of the other people. So when before the meditation, I like to people sit in a circle and kind of share what they would like to receive, introduce themselves, do a little ice breaking games and whatnot. And in that way, when I'm listening what they would like to receive or what they're struggling with, I kind of like start collecting this energetical information. And then when I guide a meditation, then the energy forms for the group, for the energy of the group. So everyone receives and has the benefit of it, and kind of like receives what they need on a personal level, and then the group receives on the collective level.
This is really intriguing. That's quite an interesting workshop and modality. Well, Kristina, I really enjoyed this time with you.
Likewise.
Want to remind our viewers that we have an upcoming workshop that we are co-creating together. I'm super excited to be doing this with you. We are hosting a full moon ceremony, and that's coming up next weekend. Actually, it's this weekend. It's the Sunday, the 21st, in honor of the full moon. And I will put a link so you can get tickets below. And Kristina will be offering her unique quantum meditation, and we'll be doing some sound healing as well. And read the full event description in the link below. And if you would like to reach out to Kristina, if someone would like to reach out to you personally, is there a way they can contact you?
They can email me, or probably maybe on Instagram.
Okay, I will put your email and your Instagram contact below this video once it's posted. And
Beautiful.
thanks so much, Kristina Z. You are amazing and empowering.
Thank you.
I'm so appreciative of your journey. I think that your unique journey is going to inspire and help a lot of people who maybe don't even know they need the help yet.
And
you.
if someone wants to check out my art, because the art was definitely a healing modality that was flowing through during COVID and whatnot, and I just, if you can put my website underneath, and then all of my art that I created, it's in a portfolio section, and then the paintings that are available are.
So I'll go ahead and put it in the bottom as well.
And then each painting has channeled message written on the back of the canvas. So it's kind of like, if you want to receive a little inspiration and understand how I flow, that's there. That's the little pieces of wisdom on each painting as well.
It's perfect. And what's your domain?
For the website,
Yes.
it's soul like SOUL fireenergyart.com.
Soulfireenergyart.com. You guys heard it. Go check it out, and I'll get you Kristina's Instagram and email information. All right. Thank you all for dialing in, and we'll hope to see you soon.
Thank you so much for having me. That was a pleasure. Appreciate it.